Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to the Valley of the Judged. I am your one and only gaming monk, better known as Mildra, and with me, I have two of my good brothers here in the temple. We have the man that is but a letter that is stamped. Good brother A.
Hello, everybody.
And our resident sky pirate, good brother Sizer.
Ahoy and avast, Mildra, and to the rest of you, follow the Skies of Fortune account on Blue Sky, or Twitter, because there's things happening.
Yep. If I end up covering that, as I said last week, I can't have you on.
I can't be there. I know. Conflict of interest.
But we are back once again. This time delving into what's going to be one of the bigger parts of the AC6 book, covering the garage or the garage, depending on how you want to say it, or from what part.
I
of the
mean,
country
it is
you
June.
are. Oh,
It is June, yeah.
yep. Oh, which means I think next month there should be a rule that any salad that we have, it has to be a Caesar salad. On the other hand, any salad is a Caesar salad if you stab it enough.
True.
But the garage is one of the biggest parts of Armored Core, because mech customization is going to be a big damn deal, and you can spend hours just tweaking mechs in the games. And I think there's an attempt to bring that energy. Now, some elements of the parts we have kind of hinted at in previous episodes, like what sections of parts are going to contribute what, as well as the limitations that you have in terms of what you can build. But even with those limitations, there's still going to be a lot of wiggle room, and people are still going to make crazy stuff. This will also be a good opportunity to get a closer look at some of the skill systems we have, as well as weaponry. And I will note, it's kind of amusing in hindsight that this is a TTRPG where you are not rolling to hit. There is not a chance of hitting or missing. There is a chance of you hitting and not doing damage, but it is less about that and more about what you're willing to spend on, which I think is an interesting way to approach things.
It is very armored, especially in the earlier games where you wouldn't typically have a chance to resupply in a mission.
Mm-hmm. And there was also the very, very wide targeting setup that you had with Armored Core back in the PS2 era. Like precise aiming wasn't really a priority. Hell, it still isn't.
Right.
I mean,
Again, I'm going to call on my very limited knowledge, but the few missions I've played, it really seemed like there's a lot of aiming assistance going on there.
yeah, I don't think any of the Armored Core games had a hard aim in it at all. It's always given the player soft aim.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Soft aim in a wide zone and a full-on lock-on system in 6. And this is largely because the bigger emphasis is positioning and mobility. Like, it is expected that you're going to be constantly on the move, which I think that's the reason why doing like a 5-foot grid setup for ACs would kind of be a problem. Essentially, I can understand why they did the specific grid that they did that we saw last week, and not just have the standard combat grid.
Yeah.
Yeah, like after thinking about it over the week, I understand why they chose it.
But
It like I typically for me personally I do like a more granular support,
Yeah.
granular, uh, more
Granular.
more yes, thank you,
which
for in my combat.
that can work for some games, but for games that are trying to be high mobility or more cinematic, it ends up creating more problems than it solves, in my experience. I remember trying to do a very John Woo inspired campaign with D20 Modern in the mid 2000s, and it was a nightmare. Especially since you can't really do a car chase scene with that kind of granularity. I mean, you can. It's just not gonna be easy.
Or fun.
I was about to say, has any system handled any chase scenes very well?
Yeah.
Oh,
Haven, for one, which operated
yeah.
on a card system. Obviously stuff like Savage Worlds has handled it pretty well, and even games that use more of a skill challenge approach, as well as Feng Shui, which would make sense because Feng Shui is built on action movie kind of encounters. Like the original subtitle for first edition was action movie role playing, and I've already mentioned that Rob Laws wrote Blowing Up the Movies, which is a book I recommend everyone read. That's right up there with like Play Unsafe.
Okay.
The Cliff Notes is Blowing Up the Movies is about taking action scenes in various movies and how one might apply elements of those scenes into TTRPGs. But obviously getting back to the garage, we open up with how to handle the garage, when to assemble. You can only do assembly in the garage. You cannot assemble during a scenario, so best to make sure you have it set up carefully. Then we have the part selection in the garage. You can select parts from the entire selection so long as the total part price per AC is equal to or less than the unit level, and the required unit level is met. As long as those conditions are met, you can freely select parts. Then, of course, we have the parts list. In order of appearance, they're going to be listed by type, then name, then nickname for armed only, category only for armed, required unit level, part price, manufacturer name, and the reference page. The manufacturer's name is not going to be in the full data, mostly because the manufacturer doesn't have any effect on gameplay, which is fair. A manufacturer didn't have an effect on gameplay in the video games either. We also have a sidebar about assembly being free of charge. As explained previously, Koam in this game is treated closer to experience points instead of money. Therefore, parts are not sold or bought with Koam in the garage, but instead uses experience points to determine unit level and doesn't decrease. Because of these rules, PCs do not lose anything no matter how many times they assemble. They do not use unit levels or Koam. That I'm perfectly fine with, because having you buy individual parts manually for something like this would probably create more problems than it's worth.
Slow it the F. It would slow everything the F down, you know?
Kind of reminds me of Lancer a little bit.
Although Lancer had you leveling up your affinity with manufacturing. and it was that affinity was only really really fast if you focused on just one manufacturer, which I always felt Lancer was trying to discourage that. But then we have a big old list. So with each of them, we can see the name. We can see the required unit level. Obviously, unit levels are in sets of 10. As well as the part price. The part price, instead of being in cost to purchase, it is more focused on the star rating that we mentioned before. And of course, the manufacturer and reference page. So we start with head units, then core. There are some that seem to have a very high price, like the CS 5000 main dish, which has a part price of 11. Which I wonder how you're going to make that work, because the cap for stars when it comes to price has to be 10.
I thought it was 10 during, like, at level 1, and then get more throughout.
Yeah, I thought it went up to like 40.
Let me double check. So I'm going to be opening it up in a separate tab, just so I don't lose my page position here. But let's see. PC version. So let me see. So no, I'm not interested in the. I have to skip past all the sample ones because that's not what I'm looking for. Right, unit level. Which is determined by part price. So what I'm looking for, obviously unit level determines what you can equip, as mentioned before.
Mm-hmm.
So let's, as far as see, loading limit power correction. I could have swore there was a rule. I could have swore there was a rule of 10.
I know some of the sample mechs have their rating over 10.
So okay, I have to correct myself. You guys were right. I don't know what I was thinking there. It's that the total price for all parts of one friendly unit must be equal to or less than unit level.
Well, Monk, just sometimes my brain will deign to remember something for me. It doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while, a blue moon.
So, if unit level is 50, then that's the cap. So, okay, now, and even with that, the amount of stars that you're getting from the collective amount of parts is going to add up real fast. And because of that, you kind of have this vibe of when you're level 10, you are slim. You're doing a lot of slim pickings and picking a lot of stuff that has 0 cost.
Yep.
Versus when you get to unit level 50, that's not going to be the case as much. Okay, my bad on that front. But
It's all right.
then we get
It's
into
like it is a little complicated.
which I think even with how complicated it is still simpler than some entries I've seen when it comes to mech games.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely simpler than, say, Mechton Zeta. Don't get me wrong, I love Mechton Zeta, but it is a bit of a skill floor.
Oh, come on, Monk. All you gotta do is get the dedicated spreadsheet that somebody from the Mechaton Zeta Discord made from scratch and regularly updates.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, and I'm sure a hero system isn't as or GURPS can have character creation handled in one session.
You know, I mean, technically speaking, if everybody knows what they're doing.
Sometimes even if they... Have you seen how big the character creation book... Not the full rules, just the book for character creation is with Hero System 6th edition.
I don't think I have yet.
Which, first off, it blows my mind that they have an entire book dedicated to just character generation.
I mean, they gotta cover every single genre that exists.
Yeah, there's a reason
both
why...
general and universal.
There's a reason why, Universalist games tend to not be games that I cover, but the the character creation book is 466 pages.
All right, I'm going to put that down on one of the systems that I'm not going to play.
This is why when people tell me that say that they have a hard time handling that they find not D&D too complicated. I've seen people who tell me that they find Fate too complicated. I'm like, I will take out my copy of Hero System and throw it at you like it's fastballing.
Careful there, Monk. That's a deadly weapon that you're chucking at somebody.
Well, in that case, in that kind of situation, they will learn a valuable lesson in dodging, and they'll remember that lesson for the rest of their life.
And or if they're a character in Final Fantasy II, maybe their HP will go up at the end of the combat.
Suffering builds character.
Yeah.
Can my character creation stop now?
Mario asks, how does BattleTech far in the mech spreadsheet? BattleTech's a weird case. Aside from the fact that it's a war game and not an RPG, I'm not counting the Mech Warrior thing. I'm moving that right off to the side. The other big reason it's a weird case is since it's a war game, what you can and can't do is built on point value, BV. In addition to that, there's also the fact that there's a bunch of different individual variants of mechs, and that's not even getting into the Omni-Mech thing. But the biggest thing is BattleTech uses localized damage in a way significantly more than what Armored Core 6 is doing here. And generally speaking, I try not to compare war games with TTRPGs in terms of complexity. However, I would say BattleTech is on a similar level, and even less so if you're using Alpha Strike. For those who are unaware, Alpha Strike is a simplified take that is built more like a traditional war game instead of the squad-on-squad combat of BattleTech. The traditional model, known as Classic, is built with the assumption that you're having one lance of mechs going up against another lance. Or, in the case of Filthy Clanners, a star. A lance is 4 mechs. A star is 5. But Alpha Strike simplifies a lot of the mechanics to allow for a larger amount of mechs in play, and vastly simplifies the whole localized damage thing.
Which makes sense. If you have like a small army's worth of mechs, you don't want to be running the localized damage.
Yeah.
But the localized damage makes sense since the BattleTech mechs are like skyscrapers. Meanwhile, most armored core mechs are maybe anywhere from 2 to 3 story building.
As far as BattleTech, the whole skyscraper thing, it honestly depends on the weight class. Like obviously,
I mean, the urban mech is still larger than most of the armored cores.
I don't know about that. And there's too many variables to account for, especially since wide boys are a thing. But I will say that I'd say that an AC unit is probably at the standard height, which is about 25 feet. I think next the ones that were in AC4 might be slightly taller, but I don't think
massive.
Yeah, but I don't think a hard and fast height has ever been listed for AC units.
And also, it's like they change the height of ACs in between numbered games.
Whereas with BattleTech, Scout mechs would probably be the size of like Scope Dog from Votoms, which isn't that big. Versus an assault mech, which that's where you're getting the skyscraper height.
Yes, assault. Meanwhile, it's like, oh yes, it's the Sears Tower with legs and fuck off lasers.
Yeah, which is why there's the meme about the Steiner Scout Squad. The short version of that, Sizer, is House Steiner has more money than sense, so they tend to just throw the biggest thing possible at the problem until it goes away.
Yep, I remember you saying that. Yep.
Hey, it works.
It works until it doesn't, and they just get bored and leave because, Lyran Commonwealth commanding officers are a few flashes in the pan withstanding, notoriously incompetent.
I mean, hey, it's better to be incompetent than be known as a Capellan.
That is true. But then we get to the breakdown of the more detailed parts data. Obviously, each one divided by the type. So first we have the head type parts. So it shows obviously the part type, i.e. head, the required unit level. So in the case of the Tan Quang, this would be level 10. So you'll be able to get this right out the gate. The part price, which is always going to be in stars, in this case 0. The name, a image of it, and then the action judgment correction for head types against system failure, search, and hacking. So essentially, head type units are going to be your I guess your skill mod. I'd say skill modifier in the traditional sense, but not in this because skills in this game have a very specific connotation, and we'll get to that when we get to the legs. Oh. But then we have the core, which has, of course, unit level, price, the name, the AP that it generates, which in this case is 50 on 3 lines. We covered the whole lines setup last week.
Mm-hmm.
It also covers the at the bottom the loading limit, which is divided between the unit weight load and EN load. This is how much of a drain it's putting on either of them. And then EN dice, which is what it's generating for energy. The max value, start of round and start of turn. In this case, the core isn't contributing to that at all, which that kind of thing can have its ups and downs. Oh,
But it's also a pretty cut rate our core, so
yep. Then we have the arms parts. So of course, type, required level, price, name, AP once again. And then the power correction for the different types of weapons. I.e., how much easier, how much more draining it is to use certain types of weapons. So again, using the biggest type of weapon may not be the best idea. In the case of this, it just means that you're not going to be doing an additional drain for certain weapons. And of course, the weapon types are proximity, handgun and shotgun, rifle and machine gun, BGL, i.e. bazookas, missiles and cannons, and others.
mm-hmm.
Then we have the legs. So again, we have part, required unit level, price, name, AP once again. The limit weight load. The base, which is basically your weight load can't be higher than that. So in this case, you can't have a total weight load more than 3. You know, this is the infamous overweight mech thing that we've covered and joked about. That's where that comes in.
Yep.
The action judgment modifier for maneuver. If you're doing a maneuver check, this would be the modifier you'd use. Then the movement cost, the EN die to move a single space, and the EN die cost to do an evasion action. Then the defensive performance. We talked about how defensive performance is basically damage reduction for the 3 types of damage: bullet, explosive, and energy. Yes, melee weapons are. I know some people can get thrown off by melee weapons being under bullet, but I think it's best to view bullet as any kind of kinetic weapon. Like any weapon that is doing damage via kinetic energy. Because what is a bullet but a piece of metal you are throwing? You are embodying the rule of even a brick can fly if you throw it hard enough.
Indeed, and it really seems like, this sounds like it's going to be true in AC6 as well. The video game, that you're going to want to start with the legs and build from there.
And at least in the video game, depending on what legs you pick, changes a lot of your playstyle. Like in 6, if you choose the reverse jointed one, you get a kind of like a hopping dash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're pretty fast if you use reverse jointed, but you're not going to be carrying the heavy stuff. Versus, if you go with quad boys or tank treads, you're going to be bringing in the biggest guns you can afford.
But if you bring in the tank treads, you can't jump.
You can't jump and you move like ass.
Well,
Because
I mean, unless you're in the wheelchair.
that is true.
But
That
what
is
I'm
true.
really, but I guess what I'm really trying to say here is that when it comes right down to it, I'm a legs guy.
I mean, you know, it's like I guess legs are
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, there's probably people out there who are like arms guys or head guys, but for
God
me, it's
I
legs.
mean,
damn
you
it,
know,
A.
Legs.
I mean, I'm more of a generator guy myself.
Okay, I can see that.
Do you do that after you gain bruise off, A?
All right, all right.
Some of you are going, what the fuck is he going on about? Go look at I Divine Cyromancy and the glorious insanity that thing is.
Mm.
But then we have the FCS, the Fire Control System. So we have the type, unit level, price, name, and then power correction for the different weapon types.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the generator. So once again, part type, unit level, price, name, and then we have the load limit. Which is primarily the energy load limit. Which we kind of saw also with the core. As well as the max correction. So how much it's adding and how much the total load limit can be. No, sorry, I ended up crossing over, but the last part is the EN dice, which much like with the core, this is where we're seeing the max amount of EN dice you can have, the amount you get at the start of a round, and the amount you get at the start of a turn. Which, even with this basic version, you can kind of see you're going to cap on EN dice very quickly.
Like, the game wants you to be using your ability.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say this is a game that absolutely does not want you playing passively. Because if you're getting 3 EN dice at the start of a round and 2 at the start of your turn, and this is happening every single round, your cap is 5. So if you're not doing reactions, you're going to cap out. By the time you get to your turn, you're going to cap out. And if you already have 5 at the start of either, you don't get anything.
You get nothing, sir.
Mm-hmm. You get nothing. A lifetime supply of nothing. And I think this is why we have the thing of, oh, you can do an evasion if you want, but you got to pay up. You want to do an attack, pay up. You want to move, pay up. You're paying an EN dice constantly, but you're also getting it back very fast. On the other hand, if you overdo it with payment, then you're going to be a sitting duck. So you do have that balancing act, which is par for the course when it comes to how EN works in the video games. Unless you've got something like like that one energy rifle in AC2 that even in the original Armored Core, that is fucking busted. You know the one,
Yeah. Yeah.
The one that doesn't use ammo but uses your energy, but it uses so little of it that it pretty much breaks the damn game.
Yeah, it's like I'm surprised they brought that back to 2.
they have brought it back in every game since, but have gradually nerfed it.
Yeah, it's like it went from crazy to like, okay, I guess I'll take this.
I mean, it's still a reliable gun. It's just
Mhm.
nowhere near as busted as it was in the original AC. Uh,
Kind of like was it like Moonlight Blade?
now, the Moonlight Blade has been in every FromSoft game from day one.
I do like the one that's in 6.
It's always something you have to work for. It's always a pretty damn good weapon, and it has been a staple of FromSoft games since Kingsfield.
I don't want to spoil it, but I feel like in 6, in the game AC6, it's like they more or less just give it to you. But there is something else that you do have to work.
Mm-hmm. Like I remember the crazy amount of stuff you had to do to get it in say Ninja Blade or the Otogi games.
Yeah.
But then we have the booster part. So once again, type, required level, price, name, and then the modifier for the maneuver action, as well as correction values for movement or evasion costs. The vibe I get is that some boosters will give you a bonus to a maneuver action, but they're also going to mean that movement and evasion might cost more. So that is something you have to factor. And as mentioned, you cannot equip boosters if you have tank type legs.
Makes sense.
Then we have how to read for arm and shoulder armaments. This one is a little more complex. So first we have the type, then the name, the more common name, the category, and I already covered the different weapon categories. Then the unit level, the load. Remember, you cannot go over the load limit. The price, the energy load, the other load that you can't go over. One is given to you by the core, one by the generator. But in this case, we have a weight load of 0 and an energy load of 1. Then the attacks that you can do, what they refer to as attack patterns, and I like that you have multiple options with them. Oh. So with this one, the Pulse Gun 2, range is 0. Oh. Then we have the cost in both energy and ammo. And the type of damage it's doing, the type of firepower, and how many hits, as well as power correction, because the beefier weapons are going to take up more power. And the ammo, which is set up kind of like AP is, but for each individual weapon. And armament skills. A single weapon can have up to 3 armament skills. You could kind of say that they're a art that you perform with your weapon. Nah, that sounds ridiculous.
I mean, I don't know. It like it sounds like a really unique idea. I'm surprised no one's done it before.
But we also have a thing for armament skills, and they show handgun skills as an example here. But I'm going to assume that there's a short list of skills for different weapon types. And I need to do this as a single page so I can zoom in on this. So the skill examples we have are fast reload, takes an action, costs a die of 2. This weapon can attack again in the same turn. For each fast reload it can be equipped on a unit, it can be used one more turn. After using this skill, add 1 die to the EN dice. So the first time you use it, it's a 2 or more. The second time you use it, it's 2 or more. And it just keeps going up. So if you want to abuse it, you're gonna have to progressively pay up. And I think inevitably the cost of using fast reload is going to outstrip what you have in terms of your energy dice. But see, then we have armor destruction, which is a passive. Targets that receive 1 hit or more from this weapon take defensive performance ammo -10 until the end of the turn. Does not overlap. So essentially, your damage reduction against ammo goes down by 10. Let's see, charged needle bullet. Targets that receive 1 hit or more from this weapon. A system failure check is made to inflict forced discharge with a threshold of 3 plus the number of hits. Ow.
Don't worry, some of these skills get a lot worse.
Oh, yes. And then we have charge shot. When attacking with this weapon, declare its use. It is a triggered one. It is a triggered timing with a cost of 3. Power correction is 15 with this skill, or plus 15 with that skill. Then we have pulse interference. Attacks using weapons with this skill have a power modifier plus 20 against targets under the pulse armor effect. The target that receives 1 hit or more from this weapon will lose all additional defensive capabilities gained from shield guard, shield protection, pulse protection, and terminal armor after the effect, and won't be able to gain any new defensive capabilities until the end of turn. Is this what you meant by ouch?
That's one of them.
Because for all intents and purposes, that's basically pulling an EMP on somebody. But then we get into the data itself. First with the head parts. Heads don't contribute to combat, but they contribute to 3 skills, as mentioned before: system failure, search, and hacking. And like with the charged bullet that we saw before, that would trigger a system failure check, so it's a good thing to have that. And each one has the different costs and different bonuses for that. But then we have core. The core is going to be one of the main determining factors of the AP of the armored core. The load limit can have an effect on performance of armaments. If you're using a heavy weapon, it's better to have a high load limit. And of course, we already have talked about energy dice quite a bit. But I think what's interesting here is it looks like anytime load limit is put with some of the ones here, the modifier for load limit or energy dice is in the negatives. But they do have other advantages. For example, the BD 12 has a start of round negative modifier of 1 a and 1 energy die correction at start of turn, but it's got 70 AP at across 2 lines.
That's not bad.
Especially for the price. Like it's a level 10 core that only costs 2 stars. That's not bad. Oh. Then arms. Arms affect AP and power correction, and have an impact on attack performance. Since arms and weapon performance are closely related, it's a good idea to narrow down the weapons you want to use before selecting arms. So so you do get AP from arms as well, and power correction. In this case, it's not how expensive it is to use it. It's more of what kind of weapons is this going to be better at, or in some cases worse at. Look at the Mind Alpha, which has a -5 to rifles, but a 5 to other type. Or the Wrecker type, which, if you're picking Wrecker, you're probably using a bazooka.
Yep.
You're probably using a bazooka or missiles, because you don't get any positive modifier for missile or others, but you don't get the -5 for proximity, handgun, shotgun, rifle, and machine gun. But when it comes to legs, so there are some rules when it comes to bipod legs. You have to choose between either all range or assault. Basically, you get one of those 2 skills. Which, let me skip ahead and take a look at that. So it's on page 343. Yeah, it's in the. Now you don't have to list out. You don't have to write out these skills, because on the record sheets at the back of the book, these skills are all there. You just have to check. You just have to check which ones you have. So. Let's. So let me see here. So these particular skills, all range and assault, are OS skills. They are basic skills. One of them is quick boost evasion, which is a reaction that takes 2 die of one or more. Reduces hit rate by 2, can be combined with normal evasion once per attack. Whereas assault boost costs a 1 die of 4 or more. Lets you perform 2 movements in a row once per turn. So you're either going to be really good at getting places, or you're good at quick boosting. And I'd say assault, the equivalent of assault boost would be the overboost option that started in AC2, where you could just overcharge and just rocket forward, versus quick boost, which is the little dodge boost that really started to appear in 4. So when picking bipod legs, you got to pick one of those options.
I don't know if this is a misprint, but there's in the second page of legs there's a 2S5000 dessert, not desert, dessert, like the thing you eat after supper.
Uh,
Um, you know, they could be either way. Like
Okay.
some of these parts are have specifically weird names.
yeah.
Okay.
And the 2S5000 is definitely for people who want to go the more chunky route because, well, first off, it's high level and expensive at 9 stars, has 80
Weight
AP
limit
at 2.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, you have a load of 5. You have a modifier of 3 against when it comes to maneuvers, which isn't too bad. On the other hand, you need 4s to do movement and evasion.
Hmm.
But you do have defensive 10 against bullet type weapons. So you're not going to be you're not going to be moving a lot, but you are good. But if you're doing this, you're probably doing it so you have enough load to use heavier weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But then reverse joint legs, you can go with either the assault type or support type for reverse joint legs. Basically, 2 separate potential skills. Reverse joints excel at action determination / maneuver and evasion costs. It's easier to reduce damage to your AP by moving quickly via maneuver judgments. If you can't tank it, just dodge.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, dodge tanking's always OP.
you can kind of see that with the fact that the weight load on them is pretty low, but it's very easy to get the right kind of die for movement and evasion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Caswar 42Z has movement and evasion of 2+. On the other hand, it's got a weight load of 1 and 40 AP across 2 lines.
Oof.
I mean, that they are the starting reverse jointed legs that you get.
Yeah.
It's kind of disappointing there aren't a whole lot of reverse jointed legs. I always enjoyed them in AC.
Uh, but I think that's evened out by the fact that reverse joint is meant to be something very specific. Then we have quadruped. You have to choose between either the bombardment or support skill. And if you're using medium to heavy equipment, these are an option. They have a higher weight load compared to other legs. So you also have to choose whether or not you get hovering or gliding as a skill. Which is going to play a factor in movement, because you can do some level of faster movement. It's just even the basic one, you need a 4 or more on a D6. So you can move. You're just not going to move as well as reverse joints. But then we have the tank type legs. So you either have to pick the high mobility skill or the heavy skill. And you have the passive skill of cannot equip boosters, as mentioned before. Tank legs are for heavy equipment, high AP, high weight load, and defensive performance. Um, they do recommend picking assault boost movement. Uh, and yeah, even the starting tank treads, the wheelchair has a weight load of 4 and is has very high die costs when it comes to movement and evasion. Uh, and then we have the FCS. Uh, FCS affects power correction. If you're trying to be offensive, you need to consider the combination of FCS arms and armaments. And again, power correction in this case is the overall power and thus damage that you're dealing with weapon types. It is somewhat amusing that the VE21B looks like a fan. Looks like a folded version of an unfolded version of the 21A.
Fan it out like a Harisen and whap your opponent with it.
Indeed.
See, then we have the generators. An important part that affects EN load limit and EN dice. With a higher EN load, you'll be able to select more energy armaments. EN dice is linked to combat power, so you might want to choose a powerful generator. So again, it plays into the factor of your EN load as well as but the and even with the high end entries, the total amount of dice that you're going to have isn't going to be all that high. Like the highest ones we see are a max die of 6.
I think there's a 7.
Yeah, the one that's over on the right hand side.
Santai has a max of 7. And again, you're going to be using it and getting it back very quickly. Like I'd say the highest end would be the VE20B, which has a max of 6. You get 4 at the start of a round and 3 at the start of a turn, which means it is almost screaming at you, use your energy dice, idiot.
And level requirement is 50. So at about that point, you know what you're doing, and you definitely have a pretty chunky build.
Especially since it costs 13 stars. But
Is that the most expensive generator? Yeah, that is the most expensive generator in the game.
But then we have boosters. Obviously, boosters is something you have to have unless you have tank legs. If you,
Tanks don't get the blue sparks, huh? Tanks have
Nope.
to go slow. Okay.
Yep. So we have a thing about booster rule of 1 is the lower limit. Booster reduces movement and evasion costs. The minimum cost for a die is 1. Booster will never create a die of 0. So we saw what the minimum die is when it came to movement and evasion for or for other parts. This is reducing what that is going to be. Potentially. There are some that aren't going to be moving that around at all. This also adds a further modifier to maneuver. i.e., when doing the maneuver action judgment, you add this modifier along with other ones that you might have. Oh. And as an example, one of the early ones you get is the Berzel 221D, which adds 1 to maneuver but doesn't modify movement or evasion. Versus the Mule at level 20 adds 1 to maneuver and also reduces the movement cost by 1. And I think the ideal situation is to have the movement or evasion die be as close to 1 as you can get them. Because that means if it's at 1, then any die you have can be used for that. Oh. And the top one, the IBCO3B at NGI-001, adds 3 to maneuver actions and reduces movement by 2. Oh. There's some that reduce movement and evasion by a bit, but it seems all but 2 of them are focused on either movement or evasion.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Then they do go into what they call the theory of assembly, which is more about advice on the order of picking parts. Then we get to the weapons, and yeah, it looks like each weapon type has a short list of potential skills it can have. Not every weapon has skills, but some of them do. We see these set up first for handguns. I do like that the pulse gun looks like that and is considered a handgun.
It is a handgun.
But I think of the handguns we see on this page, the one that's the funniest to me is the Coquelet. That's just a deagle. Yeah.
That's a Vash the Stampede gun right there.
I mean, in the game proper, that's still a really decent handgun. I ran that for a while.
Mm-hmm. But, and then we have the Duckette. The Duckette amuses me because of the long barrel. But equally amusing is the Sampu. That is an Uzi with the longest clip ever.
Uh-huh.
Oh. But on the other hand, having fast reload is going to make things amusing. See, then we have machine guns, which have fast reload, stagger opportunity. If you stagger, add 1d to the energy dice. If the attack causes the target to stagger, you can attack again in the same turn, which explains why there's an additional cost. And then honeycomb. If they don't completely avoid the attack, if it takes 1 to 3 hits, increase power by 5. If it takes 4 hits or more, increase power by 10. Which certainly fits the accuracy by volume approach. I do like that the
harder.
Good.
It was harder to see this in the handguns, since a lot of handguns share the same dice cost layout, but in the machine gun section, the different machine guns have drastically different dice cost amounts.
Mm-hmm.
The Gatling is 3-4 or 3-4-5 or 3-4-5 6. Meanwhile, the Ludlow is consecutive 2 or consecutive 3.
Hmm. And then we have the rifles. So we have critical range shooting, which has a cost of 3. You change the target of attack of this weapon from one enemy to all enemies in one area. If the range is 0 to 1, this is applicable to enemies in 0 and 1. Oh, sorry, orbital range shooting. Then aiming, if there's only one target in the area for the attack, whether allies or enemies, plus 10 power. Charge high-speed bullet. Cost 2. Cost 2. The target cannot avoid this attack.
Yeah, Monk. You remember when I said some of these skills get real tough? Get real rough?
Let's see. Charge shot has a cost of 3. Adds 15 to power. High charge shot has a cost of 2 twos. Adds 35 power. And target specific part has a cost of 3, and roll at 1 additional part determination die and choose either result. I like how we have what you'd expect to be rifle entries, and then there's orbital shots.
Now, I noticed there was exactly one rifle that can do that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the last one on the list, of course.
Yeah.
That's because, spoilers to the game.
Well, I think it's kind of answered by the fact that it's a coral rifle.
A Carl rifle.
And on the other hand, first off, look at its cost of energy.
I mean, it's not that terrible. It's not that terrible.
Mm-hmm. The energy cost, it has an energy load of 3.
Mm-hmm.
And only 1 line of ammo, which you're going to go through very quickly looking at the ammo cost.
I mean, in the game, like, it is a weapon that does a lot of damage and is very hard to miss.
Let's see. Then we have shotguns. I do like the design of the Haldeman, because it's like I know exactly what you were drawing from with that, because that particular shotgun is fucking everywhere.
You know, it's like if you have to have a shotgun be in every game, why not that one?
Yeah,
it didn't help Moldu, but still.
But the skills for shotgun is either charge shot, which you spend an additional die of 3 to add 15 to power, and barrage, if the target has at least 1 pending action plus 10 power to the attack. That almost feels like an anti-defense maneuver. I do like that we have a laser shotgun as a
laser
option.
shotgun.
As well as, let's look at Sweet 16.
Yep, just saw that.
Oh. I can understand why that has the barrage skill, because look at all those barrels. Also, the laser shotgun W, that looks like a Covenant-ass weapon.
It shoots like a Covenant-ass weapon, too.
Then we have BGLs, which have significantly more skills. So we have ACS failure. When the target receives 1 or more hits from the weapon, a system failure check to inflict ACS failure is done with a target value of 3 or higher. Area bombardment. It costs 2. All enemies in one area are targeted. Jamming shells.
That is
Good.
Yeah, the area bombardment is the only skill that costs something. All the other skills in this section are passives.
Yep. Let's see, jamming shells. Any target that gets one hit or more from the weapon will have the number of hits from missiles or other type equipment automatically reduced by 2. Oh. Incendiary bomb. When attack with this weapon is completely avoided, apply unavoidable damage, explosion 10 piercing to a single randomly determined part. Ineffective against flying targets. If difficult to determine if an enemy is flying, GM decides. Stagger opportunity. If an attack staggers, add 1d to the EN die, and you attack again. I feel like things like stagger are the likes that add 1 die. That's a good way to get rid of junk die for that round. But then pursuit. If the target is staggered, then plus 10 power. Low projectile velocity. When performing an attack at range 0, plus 10 power. At range 2, also plus 10 power. So it kind of reminds me of those different ranges of missiles in BattleTech that are very specific about their range.
I always hated dealing with those.
Long LRM versus SRM kind of thing.
Don't forget about the MRMs.
Yep. Or the fact that they fire in racks, so you're never dealing with just one missile.
No.
But then stun bomb. When a target receives 1 or more hits from this weapon, a system failure check is made to inflict force discharge with a target value of 3 or higher. And then we have the bazookas and rockets as they are. So this includes bazookas, grenades, bigger bazookas, stun launchers, bigger grenade launchers, a flamethrower, and a grenade launcher with a long-ass barrel. Basically a bloop tube. But then we have missile, which only has 2 skills. And I'm going to go to single page for a second. So, time difference siege missile. After the weapon's attack ends, add 1 die to the EN dice. And fission missile is triggered with a 3. The target cannot dodge attacks with this weapon. They also have a translation note with the pulse hand missile that it cancels pulse defenses in the original game. If you'd want to change it to match the original source material, add the skill pulse interference.
Kind of weird that they didn't add it here. I don't know if that's something that the translator themselves added, or if they just didn't think, if the devs didn't think about.
Speaking of, let's look at the melee weapons, which I think are going to answer that because, well, first off, there's quite a few melee skills. So,
Yes.
Let's see. Fast recharge, do an additional attack. Armor destruction, you get one hit, you lose 10 to defensive performance. Charge attack works the same way as we've seen before. Charge electrification requires a 4. When attacking with this weapon, declare the skill power correction plus 10 and a base value plus 3 bonus gained to the system failure check made afterwards to inflict force discharge. Charge swap triggers 2. When attacking with this weapon, declare the skill all enemies in one area are targeted. Pursue, if the target is staggered, plus 10 power. Pulse Interference. Attacks with this weapon will have a power modifier plus 20 against targets under the effect of Pulse Armor. Any target that receives one or more hits from this weapon loses all additional defensive capabilities from Shield Guard, Shield Protection, Pulse Protection, and Terminal Armor after the effect is resolved and will not be able to gain any more until the end of the turn. Like, I can see why it wasn't why the original devs didn't add it to the Pulse Hand Missile, because that kind of thing can be pretty nasty, and it's basically meant to be an energy breaker.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, target specific part. We've already covered that skill. And Discharge Disturbance. If they fail to completely avoid the attack, a system failure check is made to inflict force discharge with a baseline value of 3. And yeah, we do have the good old energy blades, but there's never been a huge amount of melee weapons in Armored Core.
I feel like in 6 it's the most they've had the most melee weapons in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all most of them are nice. I don't know how I feel about the chainsaw.
Yep. I will always be partial to a good pile bunker.
The pal bunker is amazing.
And some of what it considers melee weapons are somewhat amusing, like the explosive shell launcher.
I think that's one of the only melee weapons in 6 that actually had an ammo to it.
Which is funny because none of the melee weapons here have ammo.
Nope.
Oh. But then when it comes to the missiles, which are shoulder weapons, we have quite a few skills. Although I do like autonomous bombing. Attacks with this skill cannot be completely avoided, only reduced to a minimum of 1 hit. And of course,
that's very much like a hey, we gotta deal damage, so let's use this weapon on that guy.
But yeah, we have the good old shoulder missiles and racks of shoulder missiles in some cases. Or plasma missiles. And there's quite a few on the shoulder entry. And right at the top is things like coral missiles, which they're aerial bombardment and charge shots. But you're only getting 5 shots. And even those 5 shots are going to be expensive.
And they cost anywhere from 11 to 10.
Mm-hmm. And the highest end we have is the scattering missile, which it says 4 lines of ammo, but you pretty much have just 4 shots because 1 shot costs 5 ammo.
Oh, they have the needle missiles.
Mm-hmm.
I liked those.
Yep. But we also have BGLs as shoulder weapons. And I do like counter bombardment, especially with how cheap it is. Allows for counter bombardment, allowing you to interrupt the target's attack and launch your own. When an enemy performs an action with range 0 on the unit equipped with this weapon, you can declare and use this skill, targeting the enemy using an action against you. You attack the target with this weapon before your unit performs an evasion or uses a reaction, provided you can pay the dice and ammo cost for this weapon's attacks. If the target is destroyed or staggered by the damage dealt from this attack, the target's attack and action will have no effect. After your unit attacks, due to this effect, you cannot evade or use a reaction to the target's attack. It's a high-risk move, but it is cheap.
And you can do it with the earshot, the large grenade cannon.
Mm-hmm. Which I do find it amusing that the one would think the lowest row with each of these would be the most damaging effect. It's not, or the most expensive one would be the most damaging, but that's not always the case. Like with the earshot, all three of them are only doing one hit. It's just a matter of range, which makes sense because why would you use a grenade cannon at point blank range?
Look, all right. Sometimes you just gotta do it for the vine.
Oh. But then we have cannon type shoulder armaments. Which the good old return of pulse interference. Also fast reload on some cannons. That's kind of nuts. Which imagine if you have fast reload on your arms and shoulders.
Yeah, it's just on the pulse cannon is the only one with fast reload.
Which it sounds like that would be a easy recipe for an alpha strike maneuver. Basically, fire all the guns at once. On the other hand, doing that means you're going to be draining ammo and energy real fast.
Sometimes you just gotta go and make sure the thing is dead very quick.
But also, it amuses me that the VE60 LCA is a triple laser cannon, and looking at that thing, that's supposed to be on your shoulder.
Yeah. It looked derpy in game.
Oh, which might be the point. Oh,
I don't remember if it was very good or not.
well, it's going to be hard to use because look at the energy cost on it. Like you need boxcars, but it does do spread type damage with 3 hits. The other, and area bombardment and charge shots, so it could be particularly useful. Downside is you're only getting 3 shots. But
Yeah.
But then we have the other type weapons, which also go on shoulder. These could be orbit deployed. Which, when deployed, the AC will be in orbit deployed until the end of round. If the AC is attacked, the orbit will end, and at the end of the enemy's attack. Orbit expansions do not overlap with each other. If multiple orbits are activated, the last activated one takes priority. When your AC has an orbit active and attacks, when an attack is made, the recorded hit rate selected will occur against the target of the attack. Evasion and reduction cannot be used against the attack. Or turret deployment. You're deploying a turret or deploying a drone. So, let's see. What hair has orbit deployment? The orbit laser. So I like that with some of the weapons we have. Oh, there's a case of I'm going to hit no matter what. I may not do as much damage, but I'm gonna hit. Oh.
Whenever I think of these, I just think of the various Gundams, throughout the years that have had these orbiters.
Oh.
Like
funnels.
Right.
I'd say the most famous example of that is the Sazabi and New Gundam.
I'm thinking of the Gundam that was piloted by that new type that Amuro had to kill in the uh 79.
Lala,
What was her name? Yeah, Lala. Yeah, duh.
those weren't funnels. Those were
Hmm.
those were wire connected.
Oh, they were. Okay.
Yeah, if you're talking about the Xiang, the hands were still wire connected to the mobile suit. Oh,
Got it.
and it was the Xiang was yet another example of making a big, expensive experimental weapon, which is why I've said Xian's defeat was inevitable because they were spending money on the wrong things.
Yeah. What about the one that Char's protege was using in Char's counterattack?
Um, that was I think that was oh that wasn't an experimental thing, and that was Neo Xeon at that point.
Right.
But there's always been parallels between Xeon and Germany, and the big case in point is spending money on these ultimate iterations of big ass weapons.
Hmm.
You know the King Tiger being one of those examples.
Mm.
Where it was ridiculously heavy. It was expensive to make. It was expensive to maintain. Required a lot of tungsten, which had to be imported from Turkey. Versus, say, a Sherman, where a Sherman was smaller, um, wasn't as powerful as far as its gun, but if you end up losing a Sherman, you could get a new one in about a week, especially since they were meant to be used in packs of 5. Versus a Tiger, you lose a Tiger, you go back to your supply depot, and you don't have one waiting for you. A Gundam example of this kind of thing is the Big Zom, where they're like, "Oh, when we mass produce this, we'll wipe out the Federation." I'm like, first off, if one mech can take out your big super weapon, that's a problem. Second off, imagine how much that thing costs compared to a dozen or so Zaku's.
Yep.
Oh. And like you look at what the Federation did, where they were just all they did was just take the Gundam was shown to work, so they just made the GN and just made a million variants of that.
I mean, if it just works.
But let's see, shoulder armaments. This is where we have a lot of these. This is where we have the shield type ones, and this is where we have the defensive things like shield guard, initial guard, impact reduction. So they don't take up ammo, but their abilities to add bonuses to performance is why you'd take them. But because of things like pulse interference, you're not immune to damage to a certain point with these. Because you can get hit with pulse interference, and all those shields do not benefit you for a whole round, which means you're a sitting ass duck. But we also have a sidebar about the relationship between power correction and hit number. Which I think it'd be tempting. I like that they have that hit number has a higher priority than power correction to a point. That doesn't mean power correction is useless. It means that if it does hit, it's doing more damage. On the other hand, with hit number, it's almost a case of a high hit number means the target has to spend more dice to not get hit.
Yep.
It's an interesting relationship. Uh, and also, while it isn't needed, I like that we have a collection of sample emblems for ACs, and there's also the further columns regarding um, regarding tactics or build advice, which is very nice. It's not just throwing you into the middle of the pool and saying swim, but that covers what I intended to cover for this particular episode. But while we did go a little bit into the various parts, and I did skim through some of the skills because with some of them there's a lot of skills. What do you guys think about how the part system works in correlation with how combat works that we saw last week?
Okay. So it seems to add up together. There isn't anything that immediately jumps out to me as being overly broken or like, something that wouldn't be fun if you were the kind of person who likes to build mechs, right? Um, I do wonder if there's any major. We didn't compare the parts too much. I kind of wonder if there's any major spikes in power every time you go up, like five stars to your next rating.
It doesn't seem as such, and even at the higher even at the higher tier, it's not like you're required. It's not like there's minimum levels for things. At unit level 50, you could take a level 10 part and not have much in the way of problems. In some cases,
Yeah.
you might want to, depending on your budget of cost. And I think this also is somewhat encouraging the fact that you're probably going to want to build for specific needs, which is in keeping with the video games.
Yeah, I mean they said in the setup they basically said, yeah, before you have a session, build your mech, didn't they, for the players? Yeah. So there you go. You're at home. You've got your copy of the book. You're having fun building your mech. The next day, you get hyped up, anticipating being able to use it. So there you go. That's the fun, right? They found the fun.
And I'd say with this again, despite the despite the vast amount of options, I think every potential step is taken to ensure that it doesn't get too overwhelming. There's no way to completely remove analysis paralysis when it comes to something like this, but it is significantly easier. And having a
Yeah.
and I think this is why I think it was a smart move to have as many pre-gens as they did.
For sure. And also, starting out a little bit with not as many options, is probably good just for getting into the flow of building these a little bit at a time. As your options open up, you'll be able to more easily build towards the new power levels. I kind of wonder if this is going to help me now that I sort of know the system of the game of the TTRPGs. It makes me wonder if it's going to help me when building mechs in the game. The video game, I mean, of course.
Not I wouldn't say entirely, especially since there is significance in scale when it comes to the numbers. I do think this will help hammer home that you shouldn't be building for a one size fits all, because you're not going to find that very much.
Yeah, that's what all the reviews about the game said. In any case, you're
Oh,
gonna have to do a lot of different builds to make it through all the challenges.
yeah. Like as tempting as it would be to build a jack of all trades mech, depending on what mission you're doing, you are handicapping yourself.
Hmm.
I had a fairly good build for at least the first like two segments, and then at the third, I had to like completely rebuild my AC from the ground up.
Hmm.
Yeah, that kind of
For
wall
one,
is going to happen.
yeah, for one
Hmm.
mission in particular that ended up getting nerfed right after I beat it.
Hmm. And obviously, there's the infamy of that helicopter that has filtered a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I did take down that helicopter.
I don't think the helicopter was that bad. I think it's the what's that one that was right after the first Carl Pearl
Mhm.
exposure.
Yeah, I know
I think
I
that
know which
one
one you're
filtered
talking
more
about.
people.
And
I forget its name.
some of the like even though there's some tiny bits of Souls DNA when it comes to bosses in AC6, there's definitely more of that DNA.
Hmm.
They gave you the Estus flasks,
Hmm.
and then like the bosses do telegraph a lot more. The other games in ACs, except for maybe the last one in 5, they don't really telegraph much, and most of the
And
bosses were just other ACs.
and some of them were special levels of bullshit. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's Armored Core throughout its history has had a rough time when it comes to doing final levels, because you have this
Hmm.
long gauntlet, and then you have a boss that sometimes is borderline unfair. Um,
Yeah.
And remember, you don't get your ammo back, and there's no place to repair.
Yeah.
mhm. Uh, I understand why it's done. It doesn't mean I have to like it.
Hmm.
Like, like I will say, AC6 is probably the most easy, like the most forgiving of final boss areas, since like in 6 it's just you load right into the boss fight. There's no gauntlet, you have to get to it.
Hmm.
And of course, on the other side of the equation, there's stuff like the it, I forget which one it had, but there was that whole thing of the infinite nine breaker, infinite nine balls, the nine balls that just kept coming and pissing you off.
Yeah, yeah, I did that one.
Uh, I did too. We all did. Uh, and even I was gonna bring up some of the boss encounters in like 4 answer, but that's kind of cheating.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, just because of how crazy 4 answer gets when it comes to its combat. Uh, but I could see some. I I could I could see some people trying to uh, house rule back weapons, but
Hmm.
if because especially with the Frontier F mod that is in circulation. Um, though personally I think with this entry, back weapons aren't as much of a necessity. I understand why they were modded back into the video game, but here it's not a deal breaker. And I think it would actually be very difficult to do back weapons without them stepping on the toes of some of your shoulder weapons,
Oh yeah.
or the fact that back weapons were always the most powerful weapons in ACs. There was just the disadvantage of you can't move. I honestly, if somebody asked me how would you house rule back weapons into this, I honestly wouldn't. There's just way too much that cascades.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first off, that's another part to be targeted, and second off, um, with how tightly focused a lot of the resource management is, it is a case of I could only see you using them if it's something that just wipes out your EN.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a case of it has to be costly to feel like back weapons, but it also has to actually be worth it. And given the way this game handles the action economy, I'm not sure if it fits. But with that said, I still really like the way the garage is set up. I enjoy the whole weapon skill setup and the fact that there's check marks for it already built in, so you don't need to write down all the stuff that was on there because it's already done.
Mm-hmm.
Again, doing a lot of quality of life. But when we come back here next week, we will be operating under the 3-in-1 rule and doing a double feature of Dungeoneers, a game that recently dropped for free on Drive-Thru RPG, and Gravity Rip, which is a tabletop tribute to F-Zero.
Ooh.
And what's funny is that I was streaming XF Extreme Formula recently because that hit 1.0, and I reminded people with that game always be boosting.
Mm-hmm.
And it is channeling F-Zero, which means its cruelty is still in play.
Yeah. It makes me wonder where the R is going to come in that RPG, though. I guess we'll find out.
Yep.
You too will too, listener.
Yep. So that's a story for another night. But until then, on behalf of the good brothers present and not present, my name is Mildra. I am your gaming monk. Stay fucking frosty, everybody.
Bye.